Hey diddly diddly,
Neighbours,
how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm all right, yeah. Welcome
Yeah,
to welcome to ADHD, my sister and me. And we're both a bit meh, aren't we, at the moment?
yeah,
So
we're there. But
what
we're
have we-
we're going to keep showing up, aren't we? Even when we're
absolutely.
hmm.
Yes, we were going to do ADHD, emotional regulation, and me, and maybe with a bit of RSD, keep it rhyming. Um, but we just couldn't deal with it this week, could we?
No, but funnily enough, I was just talking to a friend, and a few things did come up. Not a lot, but a little bit. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because yeah, like you say, I've been really struggling with things coming to me, if you know what I mean. Like with the last few episodes, I've had so much to say, whereas this I was like, how does emotional regulation or dysregulation show up for me? Actually, and I've actually got more insight in the last hour than I have had. But we're going to leave that one, are
Well,
we?
yeah, because I'm the same. I just couldn't get my head around it. And I've just felt really strange this week and
Mm.
topsy-turvy. And we were saying we're going to change it today to ADHD and muddled me because we're just muddled, aren't we?
Yeah,
And we're
yeah.
both in the premenstruum. So God help anyone that messes with us this week. So yeah, maybe that's something to do with it. You've had a rubbish old thing happen to you this week, haven't you? Which, and then, I mean, you've
Oh,
only got, yeah,
my microphone's doing it.
can't hear
Oh,
anything this end.
mm, okay.
I think you're all right.
Yeah. Yeah, so my youngest has been suspended from school this week. He only attends for 2 hours a week at lunchtime, and I won't go into details, but he ended up having a meltdown, big meltdown, and he's been suspended for 5 days. So I've made the decision not to take him back at all because it's just put me back to where I was 3 years ago when I took him out of his first school and things being handled, I'd say in a similar way, actually a much worse way. And I'm just done. I'm done with it. I didn't want him back in a mainstream school, but was kind of myself and the school was forced. It was forced, really. We weren't given any other options because Jack didn't have diagnosis at the time, so we were kind of forced into this situation. We give it a good go, and Jack actually has made a good friend, and he likes going in. But now I just can't believe this has happened. I cannot believe he has been suspended because of um his emotional dysregulation. So yeah, I won't go into it, but as you can imagine, I'm feeling well and truly fed up this week. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've been both been let down very badly, haven't you? It's very, very, very sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But ultimately, he should never have been made to go back to a mainstream school. He's done his best. And so yet again, it's funny because um, when I first, when we were kind of at the beginning of his EHCP and trying to get him, originally what I wanted was a personal budget until he got his diagnosis, and then we could look at special schools. And in some of the evidence I gathered, our brother wrote a little statement to help. And he just said that Jack's being set up to fail. And here we are. It's happened. Just as we all said it would happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
and
not,
yeah, sorry, that's why I'm feeling completely muddled at the moment, because I'm just trying to digest what's happened.
yeah, there's something very wrong with the system, isn't there? If you're the person you're trying to help, and then the complete opposite is happening. You know, it's just, yeah, it's just not good.
And the problem is when he has like a big meltdown, he's not aware of what's happening. And I'm not saying there shouldn't have been consequences, because he does need to know, regardless of whether he's in control or not, he does need to know certain behaviors are not okay. But after that episode, he has no recollection. He doesn't remember what's happened, so he won't know why he's been suspended. Very sad. And
Very sad, yeah.
he's 9. If anyone doesn't know me who's listening, he's 9. He has diagnosis of autism. But other stuff certainly going on as well. And he's a beautiful, amazing, intelligent, wonderful young man, but he doesn't want to do life the way we're kind of expected to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you know, because I just, you know, as I say, we haven't actually planned anything, because what we were planning has gone to pot. But, and then again, it's quite ironic, isn't it? We were going to talk about emotional regulation, and we couldn't, you know, we couldn't just couldn't regulate. Yeah. But, you know, I was just flicking through my little book of quotes, and there's a really nice one that, or two, that's quite appropriate to what you've just said. So let me find that. Bear with.
I was going to say something to fill the gap, but
Go on, say something to fill the gap.
Well, I've got a poem. Shall I read my poem?
Yeah, you read your poem. You read your poem, and then I'll find my quotes after.
Okay, this is a poem by Donna Ashworth, and it's from her book Wild Hope, and it's called the weary child within, and it's just how I'm pretty much feeling at the moment. And I think Nicola is in a similar space, so yeah, here it is. The weary child within. There is a tiredness that cannot be slept away, a weariness that cannot be refreshed with rest, and when it appears, look straight to your inner child, my friends. She is the energy you see. She is the spark that lights the lamps within, and when your flames are growing dim, it is she who fires them up once more, with her youthful, effervescent, boundless supply of hope. If she is weary, that little girl, if she is not showing up with her light, you need to treat her better. She wants freedom, wide spaces to run. She wants cake, laughter, and fun. She wants to play, my friends, let her play. There is a tiredness that sleep cannot fight, but laughing in the moonlight with your feet in the sea very much can. Did you like that, Nic?
I absolutely loved it.
Does it resonate?
Oh, so much. So much. Yeah.
So why do you think you're feeling muddled this week? Is there anything in particular that's happened?
I just can't get my together at the moment. I think what I need to do, perhaps in the coming days, one of the coming days, I just need an admin day where I just sit down and I just get my life in order, my business, get my lovely book out that I shared the other day with so I can plan everything. I've not been planning and prioritizing properly. So I need to get everything down on paper. I need to put it in priority order, and then start tackling it and then ticking it off, so I'm getting that good feeling as well about it. And yeah, and I don't, you know, I feel fine in myself, and I know that it's a day when I and a week when I can feel a bit meh. And actually today I went to play badminton with a friend of mine at the Clem Fandango, or Clements Hall, as it's appropriately named. Normally, you know what I mean. Anyway, and it was brilliant. And had I not have been going with my friend, it's rainy, it's wet, it's cold. I got in from the school run, soaking wet, freezing cold, and I think I would have just not done it. And she actually said the same thing. So it's that accountability, isn't it? And we all know how good exercise is for everyone, physically and mentally, to get the old good chemicals going, get us feeling good. But it's so important, isn't it, for people with ADHD as well. But I find it so blooming hard to get motivated with it. I could go all day doing something that I'm, like doing my plants, sorting the house out. I'm currently sorting out the Scout Hut cupboard and the school cupboard, which is just trying to get it all in order for them. Absolutely love it. I could just spend hours in there doing it. But exercise, I can never get motivated. I always think, did I just do so much of it when I was younger, and now my body's like, no more. But again, it's that accountability, isn't it? If you've got someone going with you, that you've got to get that date in, haven't you? And then it just gets you, you don't want to let that person down. So I went there, and we just both felt so good for it after. I had a lovely natter, lovely game of badders. We don't know the rules, we just hit the shuttlecock around. And I feel really good for doing that, and it really does help. And whilst I was there, I joined the gym. I joined me and Rich to the gym. Shout out to Rich, my husband, whose birthday it was this week, hence the birthday banner behind me. And and it wasn't an impulsive one. That we have been thinking about joining the gym. So I've joined the gym. Hopefully, again, the fact that we're paying for that is going to give me some accountability to go as well.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, I'm gonna need it. I know.
Only because I joined the gym. I paid outright for the year like an idiot, and then just didn't end up going. But you won't do that.
Well, mine's a bit closer as well, isn't it? It's only
Yeah.
down the road, so that always makes it a bit easier.
To go with. And
Yeah.
so little Nicola has had her fun today.
Yeah.
Inner child.
Actually, talking about fun, let me show you my latest creations, what I've been making this week. Thought I'd share it with you. Sorry, please accept my apologies for anyone who is not on a podcast and not seeing it. But anyway, basically, this is a little dessert glass, really. And I don't know if you can see that.
That's so sweet.
Done a yin and yang. This is a Kimberley Queen Fern from Glastonbury, appropriately named, as with my sister being Kimberley, all the way from Glastonbury. And this is a beautiful little offcut of a plant that was our grandma's, which has got to be 40 plus years old, more than that probably. So yeah, and it's got just gorgeous little yin and yang. So I'm going to hopefully make a few more of those and start selling them. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing, and I just absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. But that, again, I'm doing all the things that, are not actually the things that I need to be doing. But anyway, so talking about feeling a bit meh, there's a lovely quote here. Without rain, nothing grows. Learn to embrace the storms of your life. Nice little, don't know who that quote's by, and it's just about going with it, isn't it? And it's never all going to be sunshine and flowers all the time, is it? It's about, and there's another lovely one here as well, which is from Oprah Winfrey. Turn your wounds into wisdom. Nice little picture there. So it's just yeah.
We have rain today. Have you had rain?
Yeah, we've got loads of rain. Rain, grey, cold.
Oh, I've been out and raking the grass and putting seed down in the rain, and it was so beautifully refreshing. And I went to the back of the garden, and we're very lucky, we've got a lovely little stream, and just watching all the drops land in the stream, and it was just really nice. I was really appreciating the rain, which I love rain. I'm a massive lover of rain, but it was just like a renewed appreciation. So thanks for the
Amazing.
quiet.
Yeah, and it's, you know, when you're feeling a pants, you need to find those things, don't you? That
Mm.
that bring you joy and that can help give you a little boost. And I'll probably do a nice meditation later, and that always helps me get, you know, get my head straight.
So
Yeah.
do you want to talk a little bit about emotional dysregulation? Is there anything that comes to mind for you?
I just don't think I can today. I just can't. Yeah, I don't know why. I just can't get my head around it at the moment. Just can't really think straight with it.
Mhm.
I tried to sort of do a little bit of research, and but I just could. Yeah, just how about you?
Um, well, the thing I was talking about with my friend was, I suppose, my inability to feel certain feelings. And I find it very hard to know how I am. I'm usually on a very level, what would you say? Level
Playing field?
playing field, yeah. Um, but I find I don't cry very often, and it's not because I don't feel like I need to cry or I don't want to cry. It's because I can't seem to regulate that kind of emotion. Um, and I remember when I was a kid being the same, and I would stare at pictures of our grandma and grandpa who passed when I was about 6 or 7. I would just stare at the picture until I started to get some tears coming because I was so desperate to cry, but I couldn't cry. And I don't think that's changed really as I've got older. Um, I think one thing that helps me actually, it's not a help long term at all, but something that helps me to feel my emotions is when I have a drink. And sometimes if I have a drink, the next day I'll be able to have a good cry about something. Or like last night when I was feeling quite cross, I had a drink and I sort of expressed myself through dancing around the living room with both my middle fingers up. So I guess having a drink is something that helps me to feel and to release what I'm holding in. Um, I mean, I guess alcohol generally does that. Yeah. And then the other thing is obviously like, yeah, my son, with what's happened to him this week, he's not able to regulate his emotions at the moment. You know, hopefully as he gets older, he will be able to learn how to cope better. But at the moment, if he feels a feeling, an overwhelming surge of feelings, there's nothing else that's going to happen apart from they're going to overspill and he erupts like a volcano. And this is in my older son as well, and he's been getting quite a bit of bother at school because he doesn't have time to think. It literally is like a volcano, isn't it? And oh, but like you say, it's such a big topic that I'm struggling to find a way of expressing. Maybe we should have a drink. Yeah, anything that comes to you? Is there?
Well, I think yeah, it's funny, isn't it? With me, I think when mine was I used to cry all the time, didn't I? Like, but it was more um watching the telly that would get it out. So it'd just be like, and it could be an advert, and I'd be blubbing. And Dad was the same, wasn't he? We'd be watching any film, we'd be sat there with a box of tissues, crying our eyes out. And I yeah used to have very very strong emotions with things, and when as I got older, my extreme emotions to grief were, I realised that they were not really very appropriate in society, even at things like funerals. And I remember on 2 occasions at family members' funerals, and I was like heaving and sobbing, and the people that I was with at the time were like, shh, 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 like trying to comfort me, which was lovely, but also trying to shush, because it was probably embarrassing. I think especially with the Brits, it's stiff upper lip, and it's you can't, it's not seen, you don't sort of, people don't normally show emotions really like that, do they, in British culture? They do in other cultures. And so and it was the same as well. When I was 19, I was working on the I was a nurse, and I was working on the ward, and my granddad had been rushed into hospital, and I phoned up from the day room just to see how he was doing, and I was told that he died, and I just didn't expect it at all. And the shock, and then again I was heaving and sobbing down the walls, and the nurses quickly, again, they were amazing, they were hugging me and pulling me, but they were quickly getting down, because it was just not acceptable to have these sort of outbursts. So I think I probably sort of learnt to suppress a lot, but and I think, but weirdly enough, I've kind of gone the other way now. Funnily enough, my husband never used to cry. Now he's the one that blubs in whenever we watch anything, and I don't so much. But I think when Mum passed on in 2019, again, the shock and the grief of that is just, unexplainable, really. And I just sobbed for probably a year, and then still probably every day for a year, and then still regularly after that. And it's just almost like I'm a bit all cried out now. So, but yeah, so that's that side of it. And again, emotional regulation for me, again, it was when I started monitoring my monthly cycle, that I realised that my fine line, my I called it my fine line between cool or like calm and crazy. There was just such a fine line. It's what is it? What's the Adam Sandler one? Happy Gilmore. He's on the phone, and he's like, "I'm sorry, baby." Oh, no, shouting down the phone. He's like, "I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry." And that's what it used to remind me of.
Oh, leave me alone. I love you, baby.
And yeah, so tracking my cycle, I realised, I wasn't just like that in my premenstruum. I was like it all the blooming time. And so obviously sometimes worse than others. But yeah, there was sometimes, no warning. And again, with all the sort of the Reiki and meditation and lovely things like that I do, that really helps me self-regulate. And also, it's just being open about these things, isn't it? Like I noticed I was getting a little bit more short with the boys, my sons. But it's because we're trying to get out, we do it every day, it's the same routine every day. They still haven't got their shoes on, and it's like, normally you can cope with it, can't you? But sometimes, just put your shoes on, get your coat on, let's go. And but also, and I did say to them, guys, I mean, they don't understand what the monthly cycle is, but they know that I have a cycle, because I've told them, and I said, look, I'm on day 20, 22, whatever it is. So don't mess with me, boys. And we kind of say it in a jokey way. And if I ever overstep the mark, and if I have been a bit snappy, then I'll say, I'm really sorry I snapped at you. And I think it's just a case, isn't it, that just tell people what you're going through, and apologize if you do something, if you do overreact or snap, and it's just say, I'm sorry. Not like that, not sorry, you know, but like, you know, genuinely, I'm sorry. And it just makes them know as well that we're only human as well, aren't we? We're all trying. We're all
I
trying.
I don't know if I've said this before on the podcast. I've definitely said it to you before. That when I'm going in my premenstrual, or I'm about to bleed and I'm about to explode and I start getting a bit short and snappy, the kids will mirror back to me what I'm giving out. So I can't even have that time where I can just be a bit of a cow, because it just comes back at me. It's like, come on, guys, just can I just have a few days where I'm like a bit short and snappy? But I heard this thing recently about like in a home, in a household, there being like one nervous system. So when one person's feeling something, everyone's feeling it. And certainly in my house, when one person blows up, everyone blows up. My kids don't respond to shouting. If I shout at my oldest, and it's always been this way since he was small, if I shout at him, he's going to shout at me back, and then no one can win. And the best we can do is go into a separate room. He can regulate in his way in his room, and I can regulate in my room. And for me, the way I try to regulate is just by sitting. Perhaps I might do a bit of like tapping around my chest, a bit of tapping down my arms, and I've got techniques now, or I'll breathe. And for my son, he's found ways that helps him. So for him, lying flat on his bed or on the floor helps him to calm down, I guess, because he's grounding himself, and he's learnt that on his own. And also, if he has a shower, he finds having a shower really helps with his anger. So I guess he's washing it all away. But to get to that point, we have to be left alone, because if we stay together, it builds and builds and builds, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So sometimes, even if he's not being very nice or calling me a name, or I've shouted at him, it's so hard not to retaliate, but you just have to take a step back and away, close the door, calm down.
It's that witnessing awareness, isn't it? So that you're responding to a situation rather than reacting to it. It's just taking that even just a few seconds just to wait and just get yourself together and then
So
respond,
hard.
rather than
So
oh
hard.
yeah, so hard, absolutely. And it's very similar in our house. If someone is moody, it just brings the rest of us, like, it's, I think, especially, you know, with ADHD and other neurodiverse conditions, you are often so empathic, and you really pick up on people's energy and emotions. And I know with my eldest, when he's upset about something, I just find it really brings me into it, and I really have to like protect my energy so that I can then try and help him. But yeah, it's just about finding those ways, isn't it, to self-regulate. And yeah.
Just going back to what you were saying about the way that you express grief growing up, and how that came out in your body, and you were almost encouraged to keep that small. And then going back to when mum was ill, and I think I've definitely told you this before, but I don't know if I have recently. The day that we found out that it was really bad, that was the day that I felt this pain that I'd never experienced in life before. I'd had losses, but it was this feeling of, you just can't describe pain, can you? It's just this awful feeling. And I remember somehow, I know I got to sleep with Brandy, I think. And I was hugging her hot water bottle case because I was trying to put that on the place of pain, which is my chest. And then in the morning, because I hadn't eaten, I ate some porridge, like I forced myself to eat, and then I went and sat in the back garden, and my whole body, like I was started to cry, and my whole body was convulsing. It was shaking. I was making these weird noises, and my body was doing this. Well, I don't know. I suppose trying to process the pain or release some of that pain. But it just goes to show that's what the body needs to do sometimes. And if you look at other cultures, like other countries, you will often see people grieving in that way. They'll be wailing, they'll be shaking and shouting. But like, yeah, like you say, we just don't know.
Yeah, we're encouraged to keep it in when we should be letting it out, because that's, you know, it's when you hold it in, it's just, yeah.
With my kids, they are not capable of holding it in. So they explode, and I would never try to stop that happening. And it's very hard to deal with, and it's very hard to deal with in a school environment. But what's the alternative? They hold it in, and then they grow up with all this trauma held inside and this anxiety. Yeah.
Mm. Well, we'll perhaps come to this subject another time. And I'm very looking forward to talking about RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria, as well, which comes into it all, doesn't it? Because that's something I've had hugely in my life. But yeah, I think probably this is a good time. Have you got something?
Just a little thing from ADHD website, and it's about about emotional regulation. It says ADHD impairs the ability to regulate feelings, anger, anxiety, sadness, or other. The result: overblown, extremely emotional reactions to small setbacks or challenges. Why? The brain's amygdala region handles emotional reaction and decision making. A flood of anger or worry tells the amygdala to relay a message to the cerebral cortex. In turn, the cerebral cortex then inhibits emotional response, so you can take a deep breath and think things through. In ADHD brains, this connection is weak. So that means a person with ADHD may have an emotional reaction that seems out of sync with its cause, struggle to calm down once an emotion has taken hold, and seem insensitive to or unaware of the emotions of others. I mean, and there's loads more information on there. That's just the ADHD attitude.
Oh, I thought it was attitude. I say attitude when I see that.
I think I always say attitude in my head, but for some reason, because it's ADD is like
Yeah.
ADD.
Mm-hmm.
We done them.
Yeah, and I'll just share with you that if you ask me how I feel this week, I would say I'm completely sabanted, and that is a word that my youngest son Daniel made up. And whenever we're feeling, yeah, we'll just say I'm completely sabanted, and I think that just says it all, really, doesn't it? So, but I have just found a couple of little things which so this is a quote from Mandy Hale. Happiness is letting go of what you think life is supposed to look like and celebrating it for everything that it is. Mandy Hale. So I know we have lots of challenges, but just accepting it and just letting it go. Sit in a deck chair and just be yourself. And then I've got to show you this on this page, because I mean, who doesn't love a little ostrich? Be your own kind of beautiful. There you go. Isn't that just gorgeous? Wish I had eyelashes like that. Yeah. So, thank you for listening.
It's fighting, so it's a good time to go.
It's what? Who what? They're fighting. Oh,
Fighting downstairs, yeah.
intervention.
Intervention.
Well, sending everyone lots of love and hope you're not feeling too sabanted or too meh this week. Yeah, we'll just see you next time on ADHD, My Sister and Me.
Yeah, see you then.
Bye.